straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. And that's when my
Hi, this is Kelly Elbin with Golf Life Navigators. Thanks for joining us for yet another episode of Voices of the Game, where we spend a few minutes talking with some of the outstanding media who've covered our great game down through the years. My name is Kelly Elbin with Golf Life Navigators, and it is a real joy to welcome a good friend and a great storyteller and an outstanding writer with us today, Jeff Rood. Jeff, thanks for being with us.
Kelly, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Jeff Rood, you've covered more than 100 major championships. You've covered 31 Masters. And as you look back, maybe none stands out more so than the 1997 Masters, Tiger Woods with a true breakthrough, a Masters for the ages. But there was more to the story, Jeff Rood, than just his victory over those 4 days at Augusta National.
Well, I think you're right, Kelly. There's stuff that happened before he won and stuff that happened, after he won. Why don't we start at the Players' Championship in March, a couple of weeks earlier?
Sure.
There was, right before the Players' Championship, GQ magazine published a story about Tiger, and in the story he told a couple of off-color jokes, but his team kind of overreacted a little bit, and they were worried about burning the Golden Goose on Madison Avenue. So they were worried. So he gets to the Players, he has a news conference, and there were about 6 questions about the GQ story. And the room was a little tense, and I raised my hand and asked the question where I said, "So Tiger, do you have any good new jokes for us?" Well, he didn't find that to be funny. I mean, he stared at me, his lips were together, and he was staring daggers.
Stared right through you, didn't he?
Right through me, yeah. And no words came out of his mouth. And later in the day, a couple of his agents I ran into, and they said they thought it was really funny, but Tiger did not. So the next weekend, Tiger shot 59. It's the only 59 he's ever had at Isleworth. And my publisher at the time was there when he walked off the golf course and said, "Tiger, congratulations, shooting 59. It's fantastic." And Tiger goes, "No, that question Rood asked me at the Players' Championship was BS." Well, he didn't say BS. And then, my publisher said, "Hey, he was just playing with you. He was trying to lighten the mood." And he goes, No, it was BS. So anyway, then he goes on the next week, and he wins the Masters by 12. And we know he was 21 years old. He should have been a junior at Stanford. That Masters changed the game. What we saw there was he had short irons to all par 4s and most par 5s. He had a 40-30 start. He had a 66-65 middle. He had celebrities out there watching him like nobody ever has. Jack Nicholson was out there, Jimmy Connors, Andre Agassi, Susan Anton, Ernie Banks, Barry Switzer, of course, Lee Elder. Dan Forsman, a PGA Tour player, went out there because he wanted to see it himself. So anyway, he wins that, and then afterwards, the kid didn't say a whole lot then, and really actually doesn't say a whole lot now. But I was looking for Earl. I said, well, my whole goal was to find his dad, Earl Woods, who would just loved his 15 minutes of fame and notebooks, and couldn't get enough of love talking and so forth. So when I finally found Earl, as it turns out, Earl had he had a triple bypass surgery a couple months earlier in February, and then he had a second operation that he almost didn't make it through. So when I got Earl, he didn't disappoint me. He said, here's his quote, "They almost lost me. Death is not very far away, and I was there, and I said no. When I came back, my surgeon said, 'You are a true warrior.' And I said, 'Yes.' I said, quote, 'I have been where the ultimate competition exists, and I found out that the competitor was me, and I was competing for my life, and I won. I had the inherent will to survive.'" Now,
wow.
What I wrote then, what I said then, and what I wrote then was, the kid wins the Masters by 12 strokes, and it wasn't even the biggest feat in the family that year. His dad came back from the dead. So,
well, Jeff, had that been common knowledge that his dad had undergone those procedures, then it was that close, or was that brand new news?
I think I knew that he had surgery, but I didn't know the details that he had gone to the other side momentarily. Yeah, that was new news, and like I said, Earl didn't disappoint. I knew I knew I needed to find him for his take, and he never did disappoint. I liked Earl. I had a chance to spend. I thought Earl was misunderstood. I had a chance to spend 4 hours in his living room in 2000. The Friday of the Torrey Pines tournament when Tiger was trying to win 6 or 7 in a row, and Phil ended up beating him that weekend. But I was in Earl's living room, and the thing I remember was I asked him. I said, Earl, I kind of like you because you amuse me. I'm partial to people who amuse me, but there's one thing I don't have a handle on. What percentage BS are you? And he looks at me and he takes a drag out of a cigarette. He was sitting in a chair with no shoes or socks on, a heather a sweatsuit, something out of Hoosiers, and he took a drag out of a cigarette. He just smoked about a pack of cigarettes in the 4 hours I was in his living room, and said, "Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science degree," which is his way of saying, "Yes, I got a fair amount of BS in me." So anyway, yeah, that Masters changed things, Kelly. The next time Tiger played at the Byron Nelson, there were so many African Americans in the gallery. There were African American kids playing around, in the gallery and so forth. I've never seen anything like that before, or really since. It didn't necessarily sustain itself, but it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Him winning, and then Charlie Sifford saying it was his dream to see a black man win the Masters, and
Sure.
It changed the game.
Well, there's no question. Jeff, interesting your perspective and the dialogue you had with Tiger's late father, Earl. Very different personalities. Tiger, very, very different than his dad. Why? And he still is in many ways today very secretive and so forth, whereas you had the dad was very outgoing. Any sense that you have as to why the son has turned out so differently from the father?
Well, Earl wasn't bombarded with media. Tiger was. Okay, so I think that made just that fact, would make Earl relish it more. Whereas Tiger was bombarded every step he took, so that would probably make him want to just give the Heisman or stiff arm to all the attention.
Sure, yeah, makes sense.
I think I think Tiger's an introvert and Earl's an extrovert, so. I think that's a part of it. But like I said, Earl was misunderstood. I did a big piece on him after that 4-hour visit in February of 2000, and a lot of people thought he was a little league parent, tennis mom, what have you. I found the opposite. I found that he dangled the carrot for Tiger. And Tiger would call him at work and say, "Dad, can we play golf after school?" And Earl would pause and let him just twist for a second and say, "Okay, but under one condition." "What's that, Dad?" "Well, you got to get your homework." "Okay, Dad, I'll do my homework." So yeah. I think he did a good job of dangling the carrot. Now, did he? One more interesting part of that visit is, I said, "Earl," when I was in the living room, I said, "Earl, what about that quote about your boy being bigger than Buddha, Mandela, and Gandhi combined?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "I never said it." I go, "You never said it." So now all of a sudden I got to track down Gary Smith of Sports Illustrated, who wrote the story. And Gary happened to be in Australia, and so I called him up and said, "Hey, I just visited with Earl Woods, and he denies saying the Buddha, Gandhi, Mandela quote. So I got to get your reaction." He goes, "Jeff, what do you think? I made it up?" "I didn't make it up. He said it." So that's that.
Right. Well, Tiger may not have turned out to be all three of those combined, but his impact on the game is, even to this day, Jeff, it's incredible.
Yeah. The most dominant player in the history of the game. Nicklaus never won tournaments, majors by, 12, 15. Won a U.S. Open by 15. He did something in the summer of 2000 that will never even be remotely touched. He won consecutive majors by combined 23 strokes. So what he's done, I feel very grateful, very, very grateful to have covered his entire career. I've said before, it felt like I was covering Mozart making music.
Well, Jeff Root, we thank you for your time. You certainly know how to put pen to paper or type the words that all of us enjoy reading. Thanks for all your great writing through the years, and thanks for sharing this story about the 97 Masters, which Tiger winning, as you said, was almost the secondary story to the Woods family that year. Amazing, huh?
In the big picture, yeah, yeah. Anyway, no, it's been fun to watch him.
Jeff Root, thanks again for joining us on Voices of the Game. This is Kelly Elbin with Golf Life Navigators. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you down the road.